Hey guys, today we're going to move into surface area and volume of prisms, prisms and cylinders, because they do kind of use the same formulas. So let's start with a prism. The way you name a prism is based on the bases. So in this shape, the bases are both rectangles. So you would call this a rectangular prism. Surface area is just the area of all the surfaces. So in this case, let's look at the bottom. To find the area of that rectangle, you would do, here we'll do 15 times 4. And then 15 times 4, you get 60. Understand at the bottom 60, the top is 60, so we have another 60. Let's do the right side. So we have 4 by 8. So we have 8 times 4. 8 times 4 gets me 32. If the right is 32, then the left is 32. So we're going to add another 32. And then we got to do the front. So 8 by 15. So 8 times 15 gets me that the front is 120, and we also know the back is 120. And then you add all those up. So you're adding the top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. Adding them all up. So we've got 60 and 60 is 120 plus 32 and 32 is 64 and 240. And when we add them all up, we get 424 inches squared, because we are talking about area still. So when you're talking about surface area in terms of a prism, you find the area of all the surfaces and then add it all up. Volume, you do have a formula. It is V equals big B times H. Now big B stands for area of the base. Area of the base. And then H is your height. Remember, height is the distance between your bases. So here, let's just call the bottom the base. Area of the base, so volume equals big B times H, right? Big B times H. Big B, you have to do area of the base. Area of a rectangle is 15 times 4. So that will get me the area of the base. Now the height is the distance between the bases, so bottom to top is 8 inches. So there's my height. And then you just multiply them all, 15 times 4 times 8. And we get 480 inches. Volume is cubed. So what type of problems are we looking at with these? If you're talking about surface area, maybe wrapping something, so a box, maybe Christmas gift wrapping, birthday gift wrapping, so covering the outside of something. Volume, you would talk about filling this up, so packaging. How much will fit in here? So that would be a volume. How much would occupy this space? All right, so that's a rectangular prism. Now, one thing I want you to know about prisms is they do have to have 2 bases. So prisms have 2 bases. Here it would be the top and the bottom. Or you could have called the left and the right your bases. But some of them you won't have a choice what you're going to call your bases. So let's look at the next one. Here, notice those triangles are pink for us, so they stand out. Those triangles are your bases. So this is called a triangular prism because your base is shaped like a triangle. The reason I know those are the bases is because they're parallel, so they're never going to touch, and they're the same. So parallel and the same, that's what makes those my bases. Let's start with surface area. So we have a rectangle here, so this is 5 by 10. 5 by 10. 5 times 10 gets me 50. We have a rectangle over here, which would be 4 by 10. So 4 by 10 gives me 40. And then we have a rectangle on the bottom, which is 3 by 10. So 3 by 10 gets me 30. So that's all those rectangles. And now I have to do the two triangles, which again are congruent. So they have to be parallel and congruent to be our bases. Remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So here's your right angle. Your base and your height should be touching it. So we're going to do 1/2. The base is 3 and the height is 4. So 1/2 of 12 is 6. And remember, if this triangle has an area of 6, then this triangle has an area of 6. And we're going to add them all up. So we have 50 and 40 and 30 and 12. So we get 132 centimeters squared. That would be the total surface area. Again, covering the outside if you had to paint this shape or something along those lines. Volume. So volume is still, if you have two bases, your formula is still area of the base times the height. Now here's the difference. Area of the base, my base is a triangle, so you have to find the area of that triangle, which we actually already found, but we'll do it again. Remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 base, which is 3 in this case, times height, 4. So talking about big B, area of the base, we looked at this triangle here. The triangle is my base, area of that triangle is 1/2, 3 times 4. Now the height of my prism is the distance between my bases. So the height of my prism is 10 in this case. So here we have, again, 1/2 of 12 is 6 times 10. So we get 60 centimeters cubed because we're talking about volume. All right, so again, filling it up would represent volume. Surface area covering the outside, volume filling it up. And last but not least, you might say, why are cylinders grouped with prisms? And it has to do with bases. Notice a cylinder has two bases that are congruent and parallel. So those circles are my bases. And we're actually going to use the same volume formula. So I'm actually going to start with volume. So we're still going to use that same formula. Now here, area of the base, your base is a circle. So the formula for area of a circle is pi r squared, still times height. So it's area of the base, area of a circle, times the height. Pi, your radius is 6 squared, and your height is 21. So let's do it in terms of pi. We'll have 36 times 21, which is 756 pi. That's exact. And then we'll do 756 because the directions do say round to the nearest tenth. So we're going to do 756 times pi, which is 3.14. And we're going to get 2,373.8 inches cubed. So filling up a can of soup, volume. Now the reason I skipped over surface area. There's the obvious, the two circles. So we can start there. Remember, a circle is pi r squared. So we're going to do pi times my radius squared. So I have 36 pi. That's a circle. Which means the bottom circle is 36 pi. There's the second circle. Now, how do I do all this? So if you think of a soup can label, if you actually took the label off a soup can, when you unroll it, it's actually a rectangle. Or even a water bottle if you don't have a soup can at home. If you undo the label and flatten it out, it actually flattens out to a rectangle. So if you took this and flattened it out, it would be a rectangle. Your height is still 21. Okay. But here, we need to know what this is. And if you think about it, it wraps all the way around the outside of that circle, right? So that's actually your circumference. So it would actually be 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Because that's the circumference of the circle. So now to find the area, you would do length times width or base times height. So we have 12 pi times 21. And 12 times 21 gets me 252 pi. And that's the rectangle. And now we can add them all up. So we have our surface area is 36 pi plus 36 pi plus 252 pi. So I've got 324 pi, and again it said round to the nearest tenth, so we're going to do 324 times 3.14, and I get, again rounded to the nearest tenth, 1017.4 inches squared, because we're talking about surface area. So again, just to recap, we did the 2 circles, which was pi r squared, right? Area of a circle is pi r squared. That's where those 36 pi's came from. Again, this is a rectangle. When you think about a soup can label, if you need to see one, it could be a water bottle, soup can, anything, just flatten that out and you'll see that it's a rectangle. So your height, right, is still the height of that rectangle, but the width is actually the circumference of the circle. So circumference is 2 pi r. So I did 2 pi, my radius was 6. 2 pi r gets me that circumference. And then to find the area of that rectangle, base times height or length times width, area of a rectangle. And that's where we got the 252. All right, so add up all your surfaces and that gets you your final surface area. All right, that's it for today. On your worksheet, you're doing both. So you're going to have volume and surface area. Make sure you show all of your work. Bye, guys.